history on the joke.
Because I think Gilbert's was really fucking twisted.
Oh, man.
He really went off on it.
And then he's fucking the boy.
It's got like, yeah.
Gilbert's performance was awesome in that. It was great.
Oh, yeah. He wasn't he like the first? What's wrong, Jimmy? Jimmy's great.
Jimmy, what did I do?
I don't know, just makes me laugh.
What's wrong?
Because I don't think you remember the magician before. When Jackie said, like, the magician, I went, oh.
He's just agreeing.
It was just, I had no concept of who the magician was.
No.
Get along in society.
You'll catch up later. You'll process it later.
Oh, that was such a great...
Trying to get along in society.
He's comfortable here.
Yeah, very comfortable.
Jimmy just doesn't believe a fucking thing I say.
I just love...
I used to promise dinners with people. Yeah, we'll have dinner.
So many he's the greatest dismisser of things. Hey, I really love you. Okay, thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
Before they were finished, he's nodding and dismissing them.
I feel more comfortable with scorn than praise. I don't know what's coming next. When somebody praises me, it makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah, I don't know how to react.
Yeah, it's
a lot of times it's just like, yeah, thanks.
Smothering. It's like,
oh, thank you, thank you.
Or and then just say, good. I really enjoyed your stuff, and then just leave me alone.
Yeah, because the multiple compliment is very uncomfortable because you got to go, oh, thank you, thank you. You go, thank you, and then it's something else, and you go, oh no, I really appreciate that. Yeah. Oh, thank you, thank you. Not that it happens all the time, believe me.
Starts to water it down.
yeah. It's like, after a while, you're just like, shut the fuck up.
I really appreciate the concise compliment, and then just leave me alone, move on.
Yeah.
You know, well, because so often somebody say, you were so great, I really loved you, thank you. You know, it was really good.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
Except for, you know, and then all of a sudden they get to but this.
The real reason why they're talking to you.
Right.
Or else they'll say, you left out my favorite joke, and you just had what you consider a great set, and then they'll fucking say, well, you didn't do the one thing that I came here to hear. I'm sorry, I fucking ruined your night.
Asshole.
And I turn the sound back on and go up.
do the one joke for you.
So long ago in the Fort Lauderdale comic strip, everybody was the same. It's in like 79 and 80, there was no, in the very beginning, there was no headliner and middle and opening act. There was three guys did a show at the comic strip in Fort Lauderdale, and we do the show.
Oh, Joe Balazos?
No, this is Joe Mullen, long before Balazos had it.
Oh, Joe Mullen, yeah. Bob Woods used to always talk about that Mullen character.
Joe Mullen was the all-time great guy. He's the guy that threw the guy out and then threw his wheelchair out on top of him.
Oh.
And he's
Mr. Compassion. Wow. Did he really?
The fucking stories about the guy. But we get done with the show, and we'd be sitting in the bar, the three comics, and the people would be filtering out. And it was always so fucking uncomfortably great, because you'd be sitting there, and people always would like one guy or two guys, and maybe not all three, and they go, oh, you were so great. Oh, you were so great. And then look at you. And sometimes they'd love me, and sometimes they liked the other two guys, and I'd be too dirty, and they'd like look at me and just, it's
they
so
walk
fucking
by, and you're all
uncomfortable, man.
Compliment the other two, and then just stare at you.
Stare at you and walk.
Oh, God. That's fucking rude.
Shit.
Unbelievable.
You stunk.
But a lot of times they just don't recognize me because they were watching the puppet, but I'll take it personally. Like, they won't even know that I was just on stage.
I remember one time we were in
They stare at George.
me and Otto were in the parking lot one time in Delaware. And we actually hooked up with girls at that gig. I remember with Wendy and the other chick. And
you remember their names?
Yeah. Wow. It's the only time me and Otto ever fucking hooked up with chicks together.
I was just to say.
But we're in the,
been good.
1988.
We were in the parking lot, and this girl comes up to us, and she had there was something wrong with her head. Because her fucking, literally, her hairline started almost in the middle of her skull. She had like a fucking, almost a Neanderthal ridge.
Too much fucking forehead.
Oh, she was terrible.
Wow.
It was a drive-in movie.
But she came up and she goes, I liked you, to me, she goes, I liked you a lot. You were really funny. And I don't think she knew. Oh, no. And she goes, I liked you better than the headliner.
Oh.
But she liked Otto, but she goes, he was just too dirty. I think he's more of a guy's cum. And I forget what she said to you. And you said, well, I kind of like you too, except for your forehead. It was too big. and she took her palm and she palmed Otto in the forehead.
Did you fuck her?
No.
You didn't have a car.
Exactly. Where were we going to fuck her?
We did pick up girls, and we were and the girl had talked about her grandfather committing suicide, and he had jumped out a window, and it was very sad.
Yeah.
So we're in her kitchen, and we're getting ready to go into the jacuzzi, and there's a picture of an old man on the refrigerator, and Otto goes, hey, is this the one who tossed himself out the window? It's one of my top 5 biggest laughs ever.
And you still
the
got
one who tossed himself out the window.
And you guys still got action after that?
Dude,
that's pretty amazing.
We fooled around, but we fooled around with him in the jacuzzi, and I was doing a lot better than he was. And he goes, "Look at those two. They're like Melrose Place, and we're like Meet the Press." He was on fucking fire that night.
It was more fun making you laugh than trying to get a nut.
Oh, did I fucking howl that night? It was the
toss is the word.
Of course, is this the one who tossed himself out the window?
Oh, God.
What an excellent choice of a word.
Oh, God damn.
It was a short bereavement.
How do you guys pick up girls, and how does it get to? By the way,
how do you get laid
my
grandfather
committed suicide.
I don't know how it got. I honestly don't remember the process. I wouldn't remember the night if it wasn't for those horrible moments. That's what made it memorable for me. Those terrible moments. They were like an hour south of fucking.
Was it a nice jacuzzi?
Yeah, it was okay.
Yeah.
It was a pool. It was a pool, a jacuzzi.
Were they in their underwear or naked or what?
I don't remember. I don't remember. Nah.
Thought I'd remember.
We were all in the jacuzzi, right? At some point, yeah.
I think so. And you guys were just chatting while me and her were fooling around.
That was fucking.
Her name was Sheila, the girl I fooled around with. Yep, I remember her last name too. I won't say it. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. You know, Bob Woods was so huge. Yeah. He must have weighed like 350.
Another comic, obviously.
Yeah. But he used to get girls, and it was amazing because he was so gruff and so disgusting and so ornery. And that place, Mr. Rips upstate, you know. So him and Jim Myers are up at this place, Mr. Rips. Myers. This was Myers' favorite story. And it's not even that great a story. It's just so odd. If you picture this huge man in the front seat with a girl, and Myers is in the back seat, trying to fuck this girl, and all of a sudden, out of a clear blue sky, this 350-pound man says to the woman he's with, "Get your finger out of my asshole!" That's not a great story. Myers couldn't believe it. This huge man is lucky enough to have a girl stick her finger in, and he's yelling at her.
She must have a long finger.
I don't even know how she could have negotiated it. You know? Oh, it's so great.
Oh, fuck. He was like
and you know him. You know it's true.
Ralph Cramden in real life. He was. He would blow his stack. He was hysterical.
You will believe this story. Yeah. You guys won't believe this story, but you will believe this story. He was so big that when he was in the front seat, in the passenger seat of my Volvo, he took up the entire area. And we're coming back from Mr. Rips, and he had so many problems, and he had a bottle of Heineken. And he's the kind of guy the cop would pull you over and he'd say, "Let's kick his ass," you know.
Great.
So he's sitting there,
grab his gun,
and we're driving. And we've gone to gigs for years, so we're done talking. We've talked about everything forever and ever now. So we're just driving and driving and driving. So we're on our way back from Mr. Rips, and Woods is sitting there with like a half a bottle of Heineken, and he's sitting there and all of a sudden he starts to deeply sob,
really,
and freaking out, and all of a sudden he's crying, and he hits the window to put the window down, and he pulls, but the window didn't go all the way down, and he throws the Heineken out the window, but the window isn't completely open, and the Heineken bottle bounces off the window and caroms around, but he's so fat and big that it lands, so it's still upright somewhere in some of the crevasse. He's sitting there, and a few minutes go by, and all of a sudden he starts giggling and laughing, and he grabs the Heineken bottle that's still got beer and takes a sip out of it. He turns to me and says, "Sorry, pal." Went through the entire gamut of emotion. I almost drove off the fucking road. It was an amazing play.
I assume he didn't make it.
No, he's gone.
What did he die of? And I never knew his name. I knew who he was. I never met him.
He was a very, very big guy, and he was just a mess, and he collapsed on stage in Maryland, and they took him to the hospital and cut him open, and they just sent him back to his room to die. There was just, I guess it was just pleurisy.
There was too much stomach to cut through to get to whatever organ.
It was just really,
wow. What year was that? Like, it must have been early 90s?
89 or something.
Oh, before I got into college?
I went from his wake to replacing him at some gig in Long Island. It was the hardest thing I ever did. I'd never been to a wake in my life, and it was so sad. It was just bizarre,
Yeah,
you know. And then having to go do a show, it was awful. We loved him. He was like our fucking. He was the guy you always looked forward to doing a gig with. You'd laugh all the way there and all the way back.
The first night I ever worked with the gang, I had met Minervini and those guys, and they convinced me to come over to Dixon's White House Inn.
Yeah.
And went over to Dixon's White House Inn like in 1979, in the beginning of 1979. And Dixon had his face surgically changed to look like Richard M. Nixon. And
That's fucked up.
And he just was
What?
He was just.
Oh, I remember that
And he
guy,
had a place
yeah,
called
okay.
Richard M. Dixon's White House Inn, and that was his place, and he had a variety show. The reason we wound up doing a comedy show on Long Island in Huntington at Cinnamon was that Dixon wouldn't pay us. He wouldn't give us any money. So they convinced me to come over. So I came over. And it's the first night I met Woods. And the only thing Dixon would give us was free booze. So here I am with Bob Woods with two drunks, and I'm meeting him for the first time. So we're sitting there at the bar long after the show's over, drinking, and Dixon's trying to get us, he wants us to leave. So Dixon takes a bus box, and he's going around, and he's cleaning up the tables, and I'm sitting there with Woods, and I said, I think we got to go, Bob. He says, why? I said, I'm so drunk now the fucking bus boys are starting to look like Nixon. And he said, you're all right, pal. And we were best friends until he died. Best friends until we died.
Fuck.
Yeah, that was a bad idea, giving him a free liquor as opposed to a pay. I mean, he could do some damage.
Him and
sure.
Hawthorne would drink so much. You
And
remember Dave Hawthorne?
Yeah, Hawthorne, the walrus. Man.
He'd grab his dick and go, walrus.
Fucking
And
Friedman, Silver Friedman at the Improv hated us because we would just be laughing. We didn't kiss her ass for spots, and we'd be laughing. She goes, "Can you guys keep it down?" And Woods is like, "It's a comedy club. I'm laughing." She's like, "You have to laugh like a horse." And then he started. That set him off again for 10 minutes of laughs.
oh, he's just a fucking...
And she liked all those douchey little Paul Reiser kiss-ass comics that would fucking, suck up to her and do her little bidding. It was such a fucking douchey
Woods and
little club.
Hawthorne. The night I opened Governors, I was like, I walked in the men's room, and Woods quoted this for 10 years. I walked out and said, Jesus fucking God, are you donkeys smoking pot in the men's room? They're smoking pot opening night in Governors. They're smoking pot in the men's room just to break my balls. They didn't want to get high. They just want to fuck with me,
Oh, man.
Here's God.
What a fucking world you guys live in.
Oh, he was a
Yeah, that
character.
movie Rider P.I. I mean, does that exist if somebody wanted to see who Woods was?
Oh, yeah. That
wow.
absolutely exists.
You could get that, right?
Yeah. I'm
sure it's on the internet.
I remember hearing about that years
Stern,
ago.
Howard Stern's in it, and
Yeah,
every
yeah,
comic
yeah.
that was anything in that.
I was the
time.
voice of the fat dummy. There was a dummy that if you pulled the string, it insulted you so you wouldn't eat. But Jim Myers had a great story about that. Jim Myers was in the movie, and his kid was in the movie. His 7-year-old son was in the movie. So he said, Jack, how often is this going to happen that I'm in a movie and my son is in the same movie? I got to go for it. So he rented himself a limousine to take himself to the screen. I was on the road, so I wasn't at the screening, but there was a screening at some theater in Long Island, and everybody went to it. And Myers said to me, the movie was so bad, he said it was worth the $150 for the limo to have tinted windows on the way. It's really, but it's a who's who. It's everybody you ever met. Mulrooney and Minervini.
Mulrooney was the main star, right?
And Nelson, Bob Nelson.
Bob Nelson, right.
Wow.
Where's Klaus Myers? I haven't seen him in years.
That's Jim Myers out in Los Angeles.
Is he?
Mulrooney.
Is
That's
he
the one
writing?
we know, right?
John Mulrooney? Yeah.
John, yeah, we interviewed him years ago.
Yeah.
He looks
He's
like
not
shit.
Gun nut. He's
Is he all right?
Oh, is it?
Well, yeah, he's okay. He does. He's
He's got
always in
radio now.
and
He's in
shit.
radio now up in Albany again.
Yeah.
Oh, is he
He's
doing
in
radio
and out.
again?
Yeah, in and out.
Wait, is the same guy I'm thinking of?
Yeah, he's a funny guy, man.
Big
Real
Irish
funny.
guy.
Very
yeah.
funny.
Very
Yeah.
great at crowd work.
Yeah,
Very
okay.
fast.
I did a police benefit with him, and I watched him do 45 minutes of crowd work with I've never seen anybody work an audience like
Yeah.
that. He was fucking brilliant,
Yeah,
man.
people you see his
Brilliant.
hours and hours of no material.
Yeah.
But he doesn't need it. He's
Very
unbelievable.
strong
He's
performer.
unbelievable. He's a good guy, a good character.
No, you never seen him?
No.
Yeah, another Pips act. Pips was,
I think
you
you
had
know
to be good to
Mulrooney,
survive
yeah.
Pips. That crowd was just
Really
horrible.
brutal?
Oh, yeah. The Gleason's gym of comedy.
I worked at Pips. 20 years after I worked at Pips, I met Freddie Stoller.
Oh.
And you know Freddie Stoller, the skinny, very low-key guy. He
Saw
came-
UFOs? Is that the guy who saw UFOs?
Fred Stoller, he
was on Seinfeld. Yeah, he's
I got a copy of that Pips thing that you did for Garvey.
Oh,
I was
really?
able to
The last
hunt-
laugh?